Hello and welcome back to the Puncher's Chance podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be having a look back at Nick Ball's fight up in Liverpool over the weekend and the rest of that Queensberry card. Now, Ben, obviously after Nick Ball's top performance, after the whole show, are you disappointed you didn't make your way up there?
Yeah, I wish I did now, to be honest. It was a really good night of fights. There's a lot of stoppages on the card, really impressive performances throughout, really. In terms of Nick Ball's performance, it turned out to be quite a tough test in the end. Ronny Rios is a tough character. I think he dropped him, was it 3 or 4 times throughout the fight. That one where he put him through the ropes and he managed to climb his way back through it. You've got to give credit to him for, he stuck it out for as long as he could. But when you're up against someone like Nick Ball and, the relentless pressure he puts on you is so hard to, you've got to match his energy to even stand a chance of beating him. And I don't think there's many people in that weight class that would beat him, so it'd be interesting to see where it's opened a few doors now where he could go next. But he's always entertaining to watch. Just the style of fighter he is always, you're guaranteed a good fight.
He's got everything, hasn't he? You know what? He hasn't got height, but what he makes up with that with the heart that he brings to the ring. And yeah, Saturday night was, I think that's the best I've seen of Nick Ball this year. He looked on it, and we talked last week about it's your hometown. It's the first time he was fighting in Liverpool for, I believe, 4 years. You know, he made his professional debut in a nightclub, and now he's fighting in the biggest arena in the city. And yeah, it was a great performance. I thought Rios was a tough man to beat, and he managed to get him out of there. And like Ben said, he got knocked out the ring. How the hell he managed to get back up in 10 seconds? And how the hell the referee didn't call it off, I didn't know. But yeah, great performance by him. The next fights now are going to be interesting because he's got so many options now. You talk about a lot of fighters after their fights, and some of them haven't got many options next. There might be another this sort of fight, but he's actually got 3 good fights to go to. Ray Vargas, the rematch. I believe Stephen Fulton's the mandatory challenger now for his WBA belt, if I'm right. And he could be going on a plane to Tokyo, to Japan, to fight Inoue, and they're all great fights for him. And yeah, he's just, for me, I know he's Ben's favourite fighter, but he's up there with mine because he just bites down on his gum shield, gets going, and that his nose looked bad as well, didn't stop him. So yeah, great performance by him, and the atmosphere is incredible, and the whole card itself. We are critical sometimes of Queensberry being a bit one-sided in their fights, but a lot of these fights, yeah, great performances all around, and look forward to the next one for Nick Ball, and hopefully it's a big payday.
I think he's got to go down as one of the more fan-friendly fighters in the UK in terms of just a joy to watch, exciting to watch, a phenomenal engine. God knows how he kept going after a lot of fighters you see, in their home venue, things like this, you get, a chance to get a knockout and you just completely blow your gasket in the would have been, I think, the second round or third round in this one when he knocked him down. But actually he still had the engine, still had the energy to keep going, which is nuts. I think the other fight you could possibly look at is Angelo Leo. I think he's the IBF featherweight title holder, one with a pretty spectacular knockout. I think it's fair to say that it's almost annoying and disappointing that he hasn't already got that WBC belt with the draw with Ray Vargas, because I think he probably deserved to win that fight off the back of it, and then he would have had 2 titles and a bit more bargaining power, and he can go where he wants. But yeah, just a brilliant fighter, really, really good. And Ronny Rios, fair play to him. He showed heart, he showed everything he needed to. I think he made it a little easy for Nick Ball. He let Nick fight the fight that he wanted to fight rather than making it uncomfortable for him. But let's be real, you're talking about one of the best fighters in Britain, a world level fighter. To be able to say that you can force them to fight them however you want to fight them is maybe a little bit dream world. It's not happening, is it?
No, definitely not.
Rios did have periods of success in the fight, though. I don't think it was it wasn't a point where he was totally dominant throughout the whole fight, and just I think he did at some points catch him with some counter shots, so it's a good learning experience as well for Nick Ball. In terms of going forward, I think the right move would be to try and push for one of the unification fights, because he should, I think we all had him beating Vargas in our first fight. I was a bit shocked that it was given as a draw, but you can never trust judges in boxing, and I think possibly push it. But it's a tough sort of match. It was probably one of the toughest matchups you could have at that weight class because of the size of Vargas compared to him, which I think was what was most difficult, was trying to bridge that sort of gap in the range that they had. But obviously he spent 12 rounds in it with him now and would have learned a lot more of how to sort of gauge our distance, I think, and I think he'll get the job done if they were to rematch.
I do think he's got an underrated jab ball though. Like, he's such a small fighter, you'd go, oh well, he's not going to have a jab. That's just, but he does. He caught Rios quite a lot when they were exchanging with the jab. He was able to beat him to the jab and push him back with it, and then it's the combos of like 5 or 6 punches, which is what's impressive and what breaks people down. You can't just keep a high guard and stand in front of him, because he's just going to throw 5-6 different shots. You know, there'll be 2 hooks in there, straight shot, a body shot, an uppercut, and it's just one of them's going to get through, and then
he just shows how confident he is as well, ain't it?
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter how big you are and all that, he just gets it done. But can we talk about one fight on this card? Jack Turner. Wow. What a performance. What a knockout. What's that now? His 8th knockout in...
6
knockouts in 1 round? Is that now?
Yeah, I think so.
It's quite
incredible.
impressive.
Incredible. What a Matchroom doing.
He's only 22 as well. Like, he is a star for the future, definitely. And you can see he's a fighter that he doesn't want to mess about. Like, he just wants to get in there. He doesn't want to do the overtime. He's just happy to get him out as quickly as he can. And yeah, we said last week to keep an eye on him, and he is very impressive.
Well, Liverpool had Tony Bellew as one of their hometown favourites, then Tasha Jonas, now Nick Ball. The future's Jack Turner in Liverpool now. He's going to be selling out big arenas. With performances like that, he's box office, and yeah, it's going to be tricky now to find him opponents, because we talk a lot about that Konstantin Ursu down at top tier. No one wants to fight him because they know what's coming. So, you know, you have to take your hats off to whoever steps in the ring with people like Jack Turner, because, yeah, the guy's box office and the power he carries, fair play to him.
Yeah, you don't see it often at bantamweight, someone who's got just that much power. And it was impressive as well, because what I liked about him was, it was like he kind of followed him around the ring, hunted him down, cut him off, and then as soon as he got him up against the ropes, he just kind of exploded into action, let off, 10, 11 shots that were meant to all cause serious damage. And it's just, it's great to see that even, down at bantamweight, which is considered more of an, obviously, like a skillful, and, that when you've got a guy that can have that kind of power, and he was, I forget, Gonzalo, I think the journeyman's name was, he was out. He was seriously out. It was just, you say that the future of Liverpool, but I think that's pretty much what this card was a dress rehearsal for who's coming next. You had obviously Andrew Cain, did the business very quickly for the WBC International Silver. We spoke about all the stuff around that. If you guys are listening, you want to know, click over to our interview with Josh John and you'll explain the situation. For now, we'll give Andrew Cain his credit. He's good, isn't he? He's good.
He's very, very good. He carries so much power. Like we said with Jack Turner, he's the exact same, and completely forgot that he was on this card. And yeah, listen, Andrew Cain, we knew what was going to happen, let's be honest. We didn't think this guy was going to come over. I believe he was Colombian, first time he's boxed outside of Colombia, and I didn't think he was going to cause him any problems, and obviously that lived up to it. But yeah, Andrew Cain now needs to start looking at taking that next big step. That next big step was against Joshua John for that British, and I believe it was for the British and Commonwealth titles. Potentially that fight could still be made now, because both men haven't fought the back end of the year over in Saudi Arabia. They can both get a decent payday out of it. And but yeah, I really want to see now Andrew Cain push forward now at the back end of the year, potentially into 2025, into fights that have meaning, because this fight on Saturday night didn't really have that much meaning. It was just him fighting in front of his hometown, nothing really on it, apart from, was there a title? The WBC International Silver, which is a title that technically gets you in the full belt in your next 2 or 3 fights. But yeah, a little bit disappointed in that fight. But yeah, listen, Andrew Cain, he is some fighter, and he could be selling out arenas alongside Nick Paul and Jack Turner in the future.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where he goes next now, because I think he's sort of hit that period in his career maybe where it's time to sort of get in with those fights that are gonna test you and get you prepared for when you're pushing for world titles, because it's all well and good, like, cleaning out people in 2 rounds, but you also need that experience of the longer rounds where you've really got to dig deep and sort of push through in the difficult moments. And when it comes to those 12-round world title fights, like, everyone's got to go through that period of their career where they've learnt to get there. And it's difficult to see whether that Joshua John fight would happen now, or whether that sort of passed them both by and they'll go separate paths. But still one I'd be interested to see, because they were both very confident going into it, and from what we've seen of this weekend, I don't see why there was any reason why Josh couldn't have given him a better fight than what he had on Saturday. So
yeah, he definitely would have given him a better fight, without a doubt. I think it was, I can't remember how long ago it was now, we mentioned on the podcast Andrew Cain, and I said that he had the blueprint of how to get a knockout, because he doesn't just chase the head, he varies up his shots to the body. And to be honest, that can be said for, when I'm just looking at the list here, pretty much all the guys that got finishes on this card
to the body
it's the work to the body that ended. I think I have that exact note about 4 times. I think 4 of the fights nearly got ended with a body shot. Javier Herrera, he
looked very
the
good.
Young Cuban.
He's the future of Cuban boxing right there.
Yeah, well, it was interesting because
incredible performance.
He seemingly escaped the sort of amateur scene in Cuba, where it's expected that's what you go through for certainly a lot longer than you do in Britain and America and Russia and countries like this. But it was just very impressive. Like, it was just explosive. He looked sharp out the southpaw stance at lightweight. He's 16-0 now, I think, 90+% KO rate. You know, what more do you want, really?
He's a superstar. You saw his walkout as well, like a prisoner. Yeah, they unleashed him, released him, and into that ring, and yeah, great performance there. Another performance on the card, Jack Rafferty. Or have I got his name wrong there?
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. It's been a long weekend. Jack Rafferty. Our channel's called the Puncher's Chance for a reason. Everyone's got a puncher's chance, and Saturday night Rafferty showed that. And I'm not being funny, I didn't give him a round until like round 8, and then it looked like it was a fight going into 2 halves where Turner was strong up until 6 and then was going off it a little bit, and then obviously that body shot, he nearly went down on the first one, and then he went down right at the end of the round. I believe it was round 9 he went down, and then great corner work to get him out of there. He's only 24 years of age. He can come again, and yeah, Jack Rafferty now moves on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, it's probably, like we said last week, probably go down as the fight of the night, and it definitely paid up to what was expected. Like you said, I think the first 5 or 6 rounds with Turner, he looked a bit too sharp, too slick for Rafferty. He looked like he was just going to sail to sort of a easy decision win, but like Rafferty didn't. There was no panic there, which sometimes when you're in a fight of that sort of caliber and like the rounds are getting away from you, sometimes fighters will chase their opponent, trying to look for a stoppage or to really slow him down, but there didn't seem to be any rush there. And I sort of thought, I was sitting there watching thinking, you need to do more, like to like not let this fight pass you by. But Rafferty done really well, like you said, with the body shots, slowly broke him down, slowed him, and once he started to slow down, then you could see he was just, there was nothing left of him, and it was a really smart decision, I think, to pull him out of there. Like, it's only his 14th professional fight, and he would have learned so much from that. It's a loss that he wouldn't have wanted. Obviously, he would have wanted to win those belts and move on, but like the experience he would have gained from that fight is like invaluable now for the rest of his career, and there's no doubt that he'll be in big title fights like that again in the future, no doubt.
Yeah, you've got to give the respect to Jack Rafferty. I think they were saying on commentary he's possibly looking at moving up from the weight from super light, and to be fair, he did look big.
Yeah,
that was
big.
the concerns all fight week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Is Rafferty good at this weight? And well, he proved on Saturday night. And going back to that, 6 rounds he was down 6-0. Something in me is telling me that he knew that he was going to have an opportunity in this fight, have a chance, and he took it. And yeah, that body shot, it was, like you said, a weekend of body shots, and that's what we love to see. It's the best shot in boxing.
Yeah, I think he certainly knew that if he was going to win it, that Turner would slow down later on. You know, there's no point trying to outbox a boxer. You're just going to lose. You're going to tire yourself out, and then they're going to walk to victory. So he managed to stay relatively unfrustrated by how dominant Turner was. And I think I was saying to you boys before, it reminded me a little bit of that Josh Kelly the Ishmael Davis fight in Wembley, other than the fact that in this one Jack Rafferty actually got the finish. I think it was a big right hand that caught him originally and got him up against the ropes, but then instead of just chasing the head, he ate a few shots on the way in as well, Rafferty, while he was going for the finish. But like I say, it's just what you need to do when you've got someone hurt. You don't need to just headhunt, because they can avoid that a little bit. The big talking point for me from this whole card, this whole fight, is what is next for Nick Ball. If we were to pick each one fight that we all want, which fight would it be? Is it that Ray Vargas one, or is it Dream Big with Inoue? Obviously, you're nodding. What is it?
Well, listen, I think if you're a promoter now, if you're Frank Warren, you have to be smart there. And you look at Saturday night, arena was full, well, semi-full because the top tier was shut, but he can sell that arena out in years to come, even in his next fight. The smart fight next for him, in my opinion, is that rematch of Ray Vargas. I didn't think it was a draw. I thought Nick Ball won it clearly. Unified the division, and then potentially that legacy fight against Inoue to begin like the summer of 2025. We could see that. And this is the sort of fighter now. Nick Ball isn't this type of fighter that takes fights to keep warm. He's all about rolling the dice, and if you're gonna roll the dice, Inoue's the one. But for me, fight Ray Vargas, win, and then move on to bigger and better things.
I'd push for the Inoue fight, I think. I'd go for that. I know it's a big risk, but I also see if he loses to Inoue, it's not the end of the world. Everyone loses to Inoue, realistically, but with Inoue moving up a weight class to fight Nick Ball, it gives him the best opportunity, I think, to get him out there, and it'd be a massive win for him if he could pull it off. So it'd definitely be one, I think, worth considering. If not, then you've got to go for the unification fight. I think the Ray Vargas one is the smart one, just to sort of right that wrong of the draw, which realistically should have been a win anyway.
Yeah, it really should have been. It's frustrating that he didn't get that one, and am I right in saying he remains the only British male world title holder currently, Nick? Is that right, or has someone else picked it up?
Dynamite?
Of course, yes, yeah. No, because that was it. Because we were talking about with
it was him and Rhiannon Dixon.
That was right, yeah.
And
Has Lee Wood still got a world title?
Lee Wood hasn't boxed since last year, I believe.
It was a year today.
Yeah, a year today since Josh Warrington.
Lee Wood and Josh Warrington was, yeah. So,
was that for a world title though, or not?
Yeah, it was, yeah. So I guess he is still, but I don't know if he... It does... It always gets complicated when they don't really... It's not like they make an announcement they're no luck, but... I think Lee's saying, actually, and that's maybe another one, he was giving an interview that there's going to be a fight soon for him.
How many times has he said that this year?
Yeah.
He was meant to be fighting at the Forest Ground, and that never happened. So
it's at that point now where it's a big fight. It's got to be a big fight for it to make sense for him, and big fights can take time. And
he's running out of time this year to get on a card.
Yeah.
The only reasonable card now is probably December 21st for Lee Wood.
It's the only big card. I mean, he could headline his own show, in the UK, whether that's with Matchroom or whatever, because he is a free agent. But it'd be interesting. And you talk, obviously, December 21st. The other man who was in attendance, who was giving it, was Tyson Fury, and he talks about the inevitability of that Joshua fight. Obviously, he's got the Usyk fight first. But are we at a point where, regardless of what happens in that fight now, we see Fury versus Joshua, and is that stronger now that Joshua's lost to Dubois, that there could be just no world titles in the way? It could just be, right, we've both lost, let's fight.
It's got to happen, isn't it? We've spoke about it so much, but it doesn't need any world titles. That will go down as the biggest fight in British boxing history, possibly. If it could happen, it should. It'd be really disappointing if both of them end their careers having not fought each other. It's the fight that everyone's always wanted to see, regardless of whether he loses to Usyk. If he went and fought Dubois and lost to him as well, them two, you need to settle that sort of thing between them two, of which one of them two comes out on top, I think.
Last year we were speaking, and even this year at the end of the AJ and Ngannou fight week, where we did our review of it, and we said it, Fury against Usyk, the winner of that fight's AJ. And then all of a sudden we were joking about, imagine this time next year, it's Daniel Dubois or Alexander Usyk for undisputed. We were laughing. We're not now, are we? And yeah, that it has to happen. If it doesn't happen, it's the fight that everyone's going to be talking about for years to come, that what could have been. But a lot of us are going to be making that fight happen this week as well, aren't we? Because Undisputed comes out and we can obviously do it, but we want to see it in real life. We don't want to be playing on our Xbox doing it, but surely it happens. Win, lose or draw, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua is a massive fight. No matter what's on the line, it will split everyone across the nation. Everyone will be talking about it because both men aren't just boxers, they're celebrities. They're household names, these two are. And I think that it'll put a stop to this country. You know, everyone will be watching that fight. Everyone will be paying the pay-per-view price. And yeah, if it doesn't happen, then it'll be gutting. But you know, that he has to focus on December 21st. Do I believe Tyson Fury beats Usyk on December 21st? No, if I'm being completely honest now speaking. The only way he beats him is by knocking him out. And by doing that, you leave yourself open to shots like what happened in round 9. But yeah, listen, AJ Fury is probably the biggest fight in boxing, and it doesn't have to have titles to sell. Can you just imagine the build-up to that? The press conferences, the weigh-ins, the banter going back and forth, the pushing and shoving I'm expecting. Yeah, it's just brilliant.
That's the thing with it. I think even with the both of them coming off the back of the loss, Joshua losing to Dubois, if Fury loses this rematch with Usyk, them two fighting each other still... If them two fight each other in 2025 is still the biggest fight probably in world boxing.
Yeah, probably.
There's still big fights out there though for him anyway. You know, AJ could fight Wilder in February.
Parker.
Parker. I want to see the rematch with Parker.
If the two of them were only to have one more fight, that is the fight you want, regardless of anything else.
The only annoying thing is, it's not going to be in Wembley, is it? Let's be real. It's probably not.
Oh, it's 100% in Saudi Arabia.
It's going to be in the kingdom.
But they could do two of them, depending on how the first one went. They do one in Saudi, do one in Wembley.
But I'm not being funny. I want to know what Turk Al-Sheikh's reaction was to that Wembley crowd that was there. You know, he must have been standing up thinking, Jesus Christ, this is incredible.
It did look impressive, to be fair.
So, do you think 2 fights for them at Saudi, Wembley, for their last 2 fights of their career? That's some payday for 2 fighters that have have carried British boxing for like the last 10-15 years.
And they don't need the money anymore, do they? Let's be honest. So,
but they're not going to say no to it, are they? They're certainly not.
The amount of money they'd make off them 2 fights.
It's silly money. You know, we talk about this weekend's fights that we're going to do the preview. I think Beterbiev and Bivol are getting paid 10 million each. There's a lot of money to us, but compared to what Fury's going to get paid for this Usyk rematch and then the AJ fight, is peanuts. Yeah,
it's like you say, without a doubt, the biggest fight in boxing. Certainly the biggest fight in boxing without a title on the line. 2 British greats, you know, AJ dominated the heavyweight division, and then obviously, as we've said many times, had a bit of a slip up, and Fury kind of took the mantelpiece for 3 fights against Wilder, and then they've both come back. Fury's done a brilliant fight against Usyk. It was a close fight, regardless of which way you see it. It was a close fight. And then, you know, AJ rolled the dice against Dubois, and Dubois, man, the undisputed. Imagine that, Daniel Dubois, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world.
I would love nothing more than that to happen.
It'd be crazy.
Imagine.
Is Dubois the most likely to beat Usyk in the heavyweight division right now? Body shot. Do you think? Just based off the last performance?
Go back to that body shot that Usyk.
What do you think? Do you think Fury?
I think the only person that beats him is Fury.
Fair enough. I don't think AJ does after the first 2. After the Dubois knock, I don't know if he does.
I don't want to see AJ against Usyk again. I don't want to see a trilogy with that. That's done now. Put that to one side. Dubois, like I said, that body shot, a lot of people said he was low. I think he was fine. And Usyk was smart there. He had the full 5 minutes. And like Ben said, the only person that can really beat Alexander Usyk is Tyson Fury. But the only way to beat Usyk is you can't outbox him because he's the best boxer for me to ever live. You have to stop him.
He did win a lot of rounds in that first fight, though. Like, the middle part of that fight, he dominated. But
he takes time to get going, Usyk does.
It's the thing of doing it over the 12 rounds. Against someone like Usyk is pretty near impossible because he can keep a tempo and builds it up throughout the fight where most fighters sort of wilt towards the end.
The last 4 rounds of pretty much every fight are like guarantee Alexander Usyk will win those. So at that point you have to win the first 7 rounds to guarantee a points decision.
But
It's
this
that's a lot.
rematch, I don't think goes the distance because Fury is outright stated, I'm not outboxing him. I've got to go in there and stop him. So I think it just is going to be Fury is going to come out all. He's just going to swing for the fences for him and just try and use all his power, his size to just trap him into a corner and just go for him. I think that's his best bet.
I think you said as well, speaking of Undisputed, didn't Fury say if he loses, he'll get taken off the cover? He was like, if I lose, take me off the cover of Undisputed.
At least he's honest, you know.
I don't know if he actually will, obviously.
No, he definitely will.
That's another big payday for him, probably.
They'll replace him with Devin Haney. Did you see that? He's not in the
he's
game
not
because
going,
he wanted to be on the cover. Mental. But I mean, that's someone else who's been... Devin Haney's been getting some more stick again, which I do feel for him because he's not really doing anything right now and he's still getting slagged off by everyone. But yeah, he's still got, that's another fight. We've got interesting fights coming up for, I'm sure, soon.
Well, you're talking about rematches, big fights. That's a big fight, ain't it, next year? Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia too. Obviously Ryan Garcia needs to sort himself out. I believe he is. There's a law case going on at the moment. That fight for me is another big fight in 2025 that can be made. And I think Devin Haney absolutely destroys him if Garcia's clean, gets the right weight, because he cheated last time. And but that's a fight. That's the sort of fight in there, Garcia, where you look at it and you're thinking, how have you only managed to get a 1-year ban? And we're going to talk about in the preview coming in the next few days, Liam Cameron.
Yeah.
He got banned for 5 years? And look at him now, he's fighting in Riyadh before Ryan Garcia, so fair play to the guy.
Quickly before we finish up on that Ryan Garcia and on the lawsuit, I think it might have been Eddie that came out and said that he doesn't necessarily think it's a bad thing. Will it deter people from doing it more if Devin Haney obviously wins this case and as we know with case law it can kind of set a precedent. Is that a good thing, or is Devin Haney being a little bit kind of petty and
there
and
needs
just
to
getting
be
the best of it?
harsher punishments. A year ban is nothing because let's be honest, Ryan Garcia fights 2 times a year, if that, so he's only lost out on one big payday. There needs to be, for me, 3 years a must, because why? You're cheating. You don't play sport to cheat. The best people are the best people. You can't just cheat your way through the divisions and all that. But yeah, listen, Ryan Garcia is probably sitting at, when he found out about his ban, he was probably laughing. He was like, well, a bunch of idiots giving me a 1-year ban. Yeah, come on, that's being silly, ain't it?
To be fair though, he is adamant that he didn't cheat, and the amount found in his system was pretty minute compared to what would give you an advantage.
His actions beforehand as well didn't help.
Yeah, that's the worst thing. It's in context of the coming overweight.
The whole sort of thing wasn't great, was it? It didn't put boxing in a good light, but
no.
At the same time,
brought some good views in.
Yeah,
we did all right out of it, didn't we? I think we did titled 3 podcasts in a row after Ryan Garcia. So
and this one's gonna have it as well.
Maybe, yeah.
At the same time though, Haney got in the ring, not necessarily knowing that he was on whatever performance enhancers, but knew he was over the weight. I don't know, it's a difficult one. And
you need to look at it as well. How much is that fight going to affect Devin Haney's career? Because he won't be the same fighter after that. So
I think it's knocked him slightly in everyone's eyes now. Because regardless, I don't know whether they've turned it into a no contest now after
I think so. Yeah.
But people will still have that thing, the image of him being dropped with those left hooks. That just doesn't disappear. That's always there regardless now, and it's something that's going to be thrown at him for the rest of his career.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not fair, but the
game's a game.
Yeah, it's just the way it's going to be.
I hate the game. Anyway, speaking of that, we'll obviously later in the week we'll be back to preview Beterbiev versus Bivol and the rest of that card over in Saudi Arabia. In the meantime, obviously subscribe to the channel here, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Spotify if you prefer to listen via audio, and even TikTok. We've got some content on there as well. So follow us on all of those things, or just one, pick one and do it that. Thank you all for listening, and we'll catch you all next week.
Punches chance. Punches chance podcast.